to milling like it is done nowadays. So to make white flour. The mill is property of EcoPower since 2006, only since 2006. Because when I tell the story about the mill, I always say we, but this we has changed over 30 years. So we started with a non-profit organization of students. We renovated an industrial mill in Leuven, and then we also started with this one. There we created 34 apartments. It was the first building in Belgium with outside insulation. It's still an example of how you could do it. Then we started here. And then out of this non-profit organization, because we realized that when you want to invest in renewables, that you have to have money, and a non-profit organization can have like our federation. It's poor, and you can have membership fees and donations, but that's it. So grants. My colleague, my friend, he comes from a rich background, and he wanted to create a société anonyme, what do you call it, a company, a real company, with him on top. And I come from a workers' background, and I thought of creating a cooperative. So we did both, and in the beginning we worked together, but then he started to collaborate with Electrabel, the monopolist. So they gave him 1 million euros, and they created a cooperative together. And then, then I resigned, and I was unemployed for 3 years. And then we revived EcoPower, and we were able to have the project, the windmills in Eeklo I told about. And from then on, I wasn't even allowed to enter the building here. So it was with lawyers and court suits. He wanted to prevent me to do the same, to continue doing what I have been doing. So all the know-how about water power was in my head. I had to leave all my files. I had the file of every water mill in Belgium. I had to leave it. I still miss it every day. Sometimes I turn myself in my office. Oh no, it's not there. It's already 14 years ago. I still think I know. Yeah, I have a file. No, I don't have a file. It's a pity. So and then Electrabel and my colleague, he fights with everyone and goes to court against everyone. And then the result was that the turbine was the property of Electrabel. And of course I knew these people, and as individuals I like them, and they like me. And so they realized it was too small for them, and then they came to me and they said, why don't EcoPower buy this thing? So then EcoPower bought the turbine. So the circle was round. So we has been quite a history. So then a few years later, we were able to buy the mill from the non-profit organization, which it doesn't exist anymore. So we stopped it. And so now, and since then, EcoPower has been restoring the historical building. It has cost us 1 million euros, of which 80% were subsidies. That's how it is in Flanders. So we get a lot of subsidies. So it costed us 200,000 euros. So what's the result? We're still not really finished. We know the last phase will be like, I know now where people tend to touch it while it turns. So now there must be something. I made it provisionally, so that it's not. I just screwed it. So we need some lights. So I know now where I need lights, and so this will be the last phase: electricity, lights, and protection of the visitors. And it will also be able to visit the mill without a guide. So you have with headphones and picking in a number. So that's what we do. And also we will. You will see we will have two places where you can meet, or meeting room or classroom. So this is when what happens here, it's not, you're not making white flour like in 1900, because if you now ask for all the recommendations or the what's needed in a modern mill, for instance, you can't use wood in a modern mill. The floors have to be industrial floors, concrete or steel. Everything, there have to be tiles everywhere. Everything has to be washable. So ceilings, floors, walls. There have to be rounded angles, because otherwise spiders are sitting there. So a modern mill is the complete opposite of this building. So it's quite impossible to make something here that can go to human consumption. I even doubt if it can go to pigs. And I've seen the inside of these wooden machines and transport systems, and it is indeed an ideal